Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris, and as always, I'm here with your host, Nicholas T. Smith. We're so excited today to share a very special guest. Man, he is a grinder. He's a hustler and a mover, and I'm excited. I'm excited to just interview him and get to know him. Nick, will you introduce our guest today?
Yep, absolutely. We've got Travis Ching, the Travis Ching, author of.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, author of Thirst of the Loving Trunk. Really good dude. He's on a mission to help people step into their greatness. You can follow him on Facebook. Watch this guy because he's going to show you what it takes to really get out there and make movement in your life. And so we're going to dive into Travis's story. Travis has a unique story that we'll go into. And you know, when we look at the Giants' journey, man, it's different for every person, but there's some similarities that show up. And so before we jump into that, remember to jump in and subscribe. At the end of the video, you'll see a button up there or down below somewhere, or follow us on Facebook so you can see more.
maybe that was me for our show. I don't know.
Yeah, now we're turning it religious. Somewhere around here, yeah, is a subscribe button. Travis, welcome to the show, man.
Glad to be here, fellas. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's go into your history a little bit. So tell us about your childhood. What was it like being Travis Ching, little Travis Ching?
Well, little Travis Ching grew up in Taylorsville, Utah, right? Family of 6 kids, a second to the youngest. They probably should have only had 3 because my dad chose to be a school teacher.
Yeah.
Grew up in like a Leave It to Beaver neighborhood, last of the 70s kids, where your neighbors were allowed to spank you, and then you'd say, "Spank me again." And don't call my dad. You know how it goes, fellas.
I don't.
But yeah,
I never had my neighbors spank me, actually, but
never.
No.
Then you weren't in the right neighborhood, bro. Yeah, I have a lot of mothers in this world, a lot of grandmothers, a lot of grandpas. Just a whole. It was like a whole neyborhood raising you.
We got disciplined by our neighbors. Yeah,
Did you?
Oh yeah.
I guess
I got millions of those stories. Yeah, I got caught. Me and my buddies jumped a fence one time when we were swimming in Jane Young's pool, and yeah, she came home a little early. Yeah, we all got it.
Whoopsies.
But yeah, it's been a kind of a wild ride for my whole life. I've just been a dreamer my whole life. I was never really good at school. Didn't learn how to read until the 5th grade because of Miss Awesomeness. I've always had these like mentors in my life that have guided me and protected me, and people just come into my life at the right times and point me in the right direction. I have a pretty unique story, that's for sure.
You do. Let's dive into that. You know, we'll talk about some of that childhood stuff, but talk about your story. Tell us your story.
Okay. So I guess where do you want the story to start?
Let's go from you didn't know how to read until you're in the 5th grade.
Yep.
And so how did that impact you? And then how did you end up on the path that you did to become an author? I mean, out of all the things you could have done, you end up being an author. And from your mouth, I heard you say, man, Travis Ching is not an author.
Yeah.
But here he is. He wrote a book.
Yeah, I'll show that to you today. I don't mind sharing that with you. Yeah. Miss Awesomeness taught me about the basics of life. She noticed I would just daydream all day long. I didn't want to be away from anybody. I always wanted to be part of the group. But yeah, I was really lost up to the 5th grade, and she noticed that, you know, I just daydream all dang day. So she made me stay after school one time and started asking me a couple things, told me to read this. I told her I couldn't do that. And she just taught me just the basics. Read and write and add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and said this is kind of the basics that you're going to need in life. So fast forward the story, I got a full ride scholarship down to Snow College for a building construction and management degree from Mr. Fowler at Cottonwood High School after getting kicked out at 17 for coming home too late too many times. And yeah, that was a kind of a wild ride, because after I got out, I tried to take that diploma into a bank and start a cabinet shop. And I found out for the first time, it doesn't matter about the piece of paper. You need to have some of that green stuff to be able to start a business. So then, ended up going from that to my brother had a person fall out of geez, I don't know. We're just a very lucky family. I'm all over the place right now.
You're good. Do it, because what will happen is there's going to come a flow out of this that's going to be awesome for our viewers. And so keep going. So, yeah, jump around and we'll direct it back, man.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So my brother did a job up in Whidbey Island. He has a family of 3 daughters, and we're just a bunch of dreamers. And this guy is a multi-gazillionaire, you know, those type of people. And he did a concrete job for him.
I'd like to know more of them.
Oh yeah, no kidding, all of us. His name was Jonathan, and my brother got, you know, we just come from a family of just doers and just good people. So he ended up getting this side job doing concrete, and at the end of all of it, this guy says, "Why don't you start your own company?" So from that, he finished the job. He said, "Obviously, I got 3 daughters. I barely can put food on the table. I don't have time to start a business." My brother woke up to a dump truck bed truck and trailer and all the concrete tools and a LLC all done up. Just a real angel fell out of the sky and said, "If this doesn't work out, just go ahead and send me back all my stuff." So then my brother said, "Yeah, come on up and run this concrete company with me." Then from there, we did a job for, fast forward the tape a little bit because we got to jump around here and put a lot into this. Yep. Fast forward at Rick Rennebaum, who owned Frontier Chevrolet. Like I told you, Nick, I'm in the automobile industry down there at Volkswagen Southtown, changing lives down there too. Mm-hmm. Rick Rennebaum owned this Chevy dealership, and ended up raining on his job. And at the end of all that, he invited me over for dinner and told me I needed to jump into the automobile business. And that's how I got into the automobile industry. And then my brother said, "You know, if you're not going to help me out with the concrete industry, you might as well go home to Utah because you like Utah a lot better than Washington." And came back to Utah. But yeah, I've been on a 20-year career in the automobile industry, and I had this calling. My life will just go right to the point of the deal. In 2018, on my 40th birthday, my feet started hurting, my legs started hurting, everything started just going out of control. This is where it gets crazy.
Is this on your 40th birthday? Because I'm almost 40, so this is.
Yeah, when they say you fall apart at 40, they ain't messing around.
Oh crap!
So at 40, my legs started hurting. My heart felt like it was jumping out of my chest, and my mom was sent home at that time. She had cancer really, really bad, and oh geez, I don't want to get emotional here, but on September 16th, 2018, I made the deal. I was sitting in my driveway. I didn't even know I was going to live another day. I was out of energy, the whole 9 yards, and oh wow. And I said to God, you know, I don't know how this all works, but I want to ask for one of these blessings to help me out, right? And I said, let's just make this a super easy fix. And wow. I ended up going to the doctors after my wife said, "I don't know why you've been so bullheaded this whole time."
That's
so I go
most of the time we are a little bit bullheaded, right?
Yeah. Oh heck yeah, us dudes are. Yeah. So I go into the
no, I'm not. He says.
I go to the university hospital, and this Dr. Lim, Korean doctor, comes walking in. I thought I was in good hands there. He said I had Graves' disease, which is hyperthyroidism. And he goes, "But it's going to be a super easy fix." So I'd said in my little prayer, let's make this a super easy fix. So right there, I knew I was in pretty decent hands. And at the same time, my mom was sent home on hospice, right? And I called her up as soon as I got out of the hospital, pretty much in tears, saying, "I think I got a blessing. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the man. I don't know how this all works, but I'm going to ask him for another one." So I said to God, you know, let's make mom comfortable until you're ready to take her. And at this time, she had a tube coming out of her back, and he was draining out stuff, and we were just waiting. she was sent home to pass away. And about, I'd say 3 or 4 days later, nothing was coming out of the tube anymore. So I told my sisters, let's just send her back to the hospital. Let's get this tube taken out of her back. I didn't let them know that I had asked for another blessing at this point. And the first doctor came in, said, you go get some treatments. And from April to this September, October, I can't remember the exact date, but the first doctor came in, said, you go get treatments, Miss Ching? And she goes, no, you sent me home to die. Second doctor that I can't even believe she's still alive says, did you go get treatments, Mrs. Ching? And she goes, no, you sent me home to die. And then the third doctor comes in with the scan, because obviously they got a scan to make sure that they can take the tube out, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no cancer in there, fellas. 0 cancer in her body. Now, I wish that ended well, because fast forward the tape, he kept her cancer free until October, the second week of October of this year. She was supposed to come down and visit with me. And then by December, it had come back full blown. And then January 28th is when God took her back. So it's been a pretty wild ride. And then
what's awesome on that, I know it's a hard thing, and I know it's, and my condolences, it's always hard to lose somebody that you love, but man, that prayer that's answered and that extra time, that's something that, death is certain for all of us.
Oh, yes.
But having that extra time, wow, what a blessing, and to be able to get to do that with your mom and be there. And it's amazing that the miracles and the things that you can do just by asking for it, just
for sure.
believing that, hey, like, I'm worthy of this blessing and I can receive it. And yeah, pretty cool.
I was going to write the question here. Are you asking? I'm sure a lot of people are asking, but to ask in a way, and this isn't a religious show, but, just asking what you want in life, man, there's something about that belief that you're going to get it. And I want to really quick, before we move forward on this, highlight your path, because up until 40, you were just kind of all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Right. You're kind of a small life. You're not really directed in any direction. You don't, you had purpose, but it wasn't this purpose. And
you are correct.
In the story we talk about, I'm going to pause you real quick, but in the story we talk about the Smalls, man, they don't know any different, because they're living this small life. And then they see something that wakes them up. In the story, Rit looks up and he sees the giants and he's like, man, what is there for me? And it sounds like you had that moment at 40, your legs starts hurting, your heart's beating out of your chest. And you're like, man, I got to do something. And your way of doing that, of creating purpose, was to go to God and say, hey man, I'm
ready to make the deal.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready to make the deal?
Yeah.
Take one of them blessings, right?
Exactly.
See, my religious thing at the beginning was
that was dead on, right? That was dead on. And again, I've never done this before, so you guys just got to bear with me,
Yeah, go ahead.
This is my first time too.
So
okay.
I'll go ahead and take one of them blessings.
Yeah.
And then you get it, and the doctor says this is going to be an easy fix. So you start to build this trust of, hey man, if I ask for things and do my part, I'm going to get something in return. That's kind of a lesson for life.
Yes.
Then you said, okay, let's do it again. I mean, how often do we take just these? That was one little step for you.
Yes.
It was a big step for you, but when you look back, it was one tiny step, and then you took another step and asked for your mom. And then there was another step.
Yes.
Right? So can you talk to that? Yeah.
Oh man. So then
here we go.
I get this health thing under control. So I start listening to all these motivational videos, and motivational videos always take you over to spiritual videos, right? And I just start sending them out at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I just keep waking up earlier and earlier and earlier, and I keep sending them out to people that kind of need them, And I tell people about what's going on with my life, the whole 9 yards, and I start, us guys. All right, guys.
He gone. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I was gone for a minute. I knocked the phone down.
I get animated. I get excited.
I never had a journal before, right?
Okay, hold that symbol up. That Hamsa. Okay,
It says every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters. Buddha.
Okay, so that symbol on there, the 5 fingers, the Hamsa.
Okay.
I didn't know much about that until about a week ago. That symbol. I just ordered a pendant of it. So in the book, when Rit looks up at the giants, the clock says 555 on it. 5 is the number of change. And so the Hamsa is the number of change, is the symbol of change.
Ooh, see, we are on the same page. Let's roll.
There's
555.
So that's
one of those little
cool.
signs.
Yeah, that's cool. Your journal
has
little
signs.
That Buddha symbol on it. I think it's called the Hamsa. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. Somebody can correct me. But my understanding is that's the creation symbol. So keep going. I mean, this is your story gets.
Oh, it gets.
Like, you know what I feel like is the guy interviewing Joe Dirt. Like, I'm not calling you.
I'm Joe Dirt. Really? I'm Joe Dirt.
I'm not calling you Joe Dirt, but
there you go.
The guy doing the interview, and he's like, "Keep going, man. This is intriguing."
All right.
This is like where we are in your story. So
yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. I love it.
And then, yeah. So let's keep going down that path. I'm excited to see what happens.
All right. Let's see where this rolls, man. So when you're talking about being a small, I live my life now by the 4 pillars, right? This family and friends. The wealth has always been under control, fellas. Like I had focused so hardcore on the wealth side, right? That just handled itself. And then this relationship with the infinite, I never had a relationship with the infinite up to this point, right? I believed in him. I never followed him. So this is when the crazy stuff starts happening to me. So every morning, I'm waking up, I'm going to the gym. After I do all my stuff, I'm listening to these videos. I'm writing down every day. I was writing down exactly what I was learning on a daily basis, because all these beautiful minds, some on the earth, some not on the earth, right? Had left back all this beautiful information for us to learn from, take their 30-year journey, and all of a sudden you're condensing it into a couple hours, learning a ton along the way, and just your growth starts happening, right? And on November 20th, 2018, this is where the calling comes through, right? I'm just going to show you real quick. So you see my handwriting? Mm-hmm. You see that, everyone?
Yeah. Yep. See it?
Oh, yeah.
We can't see it clearly, but I can see the handwriting.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to text a picture to the Giants page. Okay. But it says, I write down at the top of this page, ideas flow through me and my friends. It sounds like a bad idea to someone else. Decisions, honor, character, discipline, due diligence, sweat equity. Now here comes the calling. I write down children's books. It's in the children. I'm like, I told you I'd follow through with anything you asked me to do. But you're seeing what you're dealing with here. I don't have any punctuation skills. I probably got a 6th grade education, 7th grade education. You're telling me I'm going to write children's literature?
It's all right. Either does Nick.
and then I don't know what's going on, because I always thought I wanted to start the TC Academy because I'm really good at the car industry, right? Just teaching it the correct way. And I said, so do you want me to start the TC Academy? Because obviously I'm a little older now, and the average sales guy is in his 20s. So I said, are those the children we're talking about? And this voice inside my head says, nobody will keep me from achieving my goal. Phenomenal success is in my future. And I was like, all right, well, if you're telling me I got to write some children's literature, let's rock and roll. And then all this information starts flowing in, right? And I'm like, all right. So I start writing down, this little dream chaser. And you can see my, sorry, I'm doing this on a phone. Yep. But you can see that I don't have any artistic abilities whatsoever. Zero artistic ability. It looks
like my stuff over here.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And all these rough drafts start coming in. Now, what's cool about the rough drafts is he had put everyone in my life that was supposed to be in my life to help me fulfill the calling. So I had a lady by the name of Taylor Saunders. We should get her on the show because that'd be freaking funny hearing her side of the story. She was there at the dealership for 2 weeks before she quit the dealership to go work on an e-commerce deal, which was good deal for her. But she was a children's literature major. So she gives me this crash course of children's literature and how, who's saying what and this and that. And I'm like, okay. And then 2 English majors, one by the name of Melanie and the other one by the name of Jessica at the dealership would do the punctuation for me, right? And I just kept rocking them out, one after another, after another, after another. And yeah, it's just been a real wild ride. If you look at what I have here, and all my box of one step closers is what I call them, because every time I'd be looking at these pages, you know what I'm talking about, fellas.
Yeah, we do.
What's in your box of one step closers? That's a good nugget right there.
Oh yeah, I got Xerox boxes full of every time I'd print it, and if I would change a word, if I would change anything, I would take that whole print and put it in the box of one step closers.
Okay, so let me do this. This is like if you read the book, what is it? Conversations with God, right?
I've listened to those videos. My boy's actually listening to those videos right now.
Okay, so this is what it reminds me of. Like, you literally have a conversation with the infinite. And in our conversations offline, you said something about the mentor, the ultimate mentor. Can you go into that?
Okay, so who wrote the best book of all time? Right? God, the infinite. He had his little people, his little scribes, scribing it all out. But the infinite is the best mentor of all time. So if he wrote the best book of all time and he helped me write a book, well, I'm not saying mine's the second best book of all time, but I'm really hoping that I have one in the many that we've written together. But it's weird. I always say, maybe I got let into the biggest party of all time that happens 7 days a week, from the time of 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock, or 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock every morning, 7 days a week. You'll find me down in my basement, and I'm either doing writing. I call it another thing I do is like spiritual tithing, where people know I'm up at those times. So if they call me, I pick up the phone call. I help them out with their journeys. It's just, if we give our best self in that first 3 hours, think about this, guys. If we give our best self in the first 3 hours of the day before all the hecticness comes in and everyone starts asking things from us, and we got to live up to this life's value, so to speak. What if God's the same way before all the heckling comes his way and all the wouldas, couldas, and shouldas, and help me with this and help me out of this problem and this problem, this problem. Maybe he's connecting with the people that are putting in that time, right? And I just audition for more of that time, right? This audition, I don't know. I tell my sales guys all the time, right? What if everyone just auditioned for God's time first and then served everyone else after? How much better would we all feel? I don't know if that's
I would imagine we'd feel pretty good.
I'm trying to write down nuggets as fast as you're saying them.
Sorry, I'm a fast talker.
No, I'll catch up.
Hey, we're in the RV industry, so it's
I know.
It's a cousin of the car business,
sexy over there.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, I work with him at Men Love Dodge Toyota. He knows me very well.
Yep, he knows you.
Who's that?
Dan Saxon.
Oh yeah, yep. Old Dan Saxon. What a great
guy. Yeah.
We'll have to mention him in the shout outs here. But this story, what I love about this is it ties in perfectly to the story of the giants and the smalls. And you're doing your own thing, but the journey is so similar for every giant. It's you have a life where you're living like a small, not much is changing. You have an awakening. You make a decision to do something about that awakening. So you go out on a path into the unknown. You have all these steps of one step closers that you put into a file. And so, like the character in my story, he goes out, he has no clue what he's doing. He's going to climb a giant. You climbed the ultimate giant, right?
Thank you.
And you audition for his time, and you sit up on his ear and you say, "Hey man, will you teach me?" And he says, "Yeah." And then he starts to expand your mind, just like the giant in our story, and mentor you. And it could be a person, it could be, the universe, God, however people want to do it. But there's still that growth that has to occur, because
yes,
the small still has to go back and grow into his potential. And here you are in your journey. You've had your vision opened up, and you have all these notes downloading. People talk about the download. I've heard that from multiple creators, that when you align with your purpose, the download begins. And that purpose could be anything. And so in your case, notes and notes and notes start downloading.
yes.
You could have filed that away, but you didn't. You started growing into it. And so going back to the old Travis Ching isn't possible. It's just like written the story. He outgrows his house and he destroys it. He's like, I can't go back, and I don't want to stay like this. So I'm moving forward. I mean, I could hear Travis Ching saying those words. I ain't going to stay like this. Let's go. Right?
Yeah. He just, you are exactly right. Just think about the one person you would never want, or the one being you would never want to let down, right? We let ourselves down all the time. We let friends down. We let family members down. We let coworkers down. We let everyone down at times of our lives, right?
Yeah.
But if everyone would just make the deal with the infinite, what's the one guy you would never want to let down, right? If you make a deal to give more time, and that's all I was asking for. I thought I was dying, right? I don't want to go out like this. So I'm ready to make the deal. So if you do this for me, I'm ready to give up the drinking. I'm ready to give up the all this lifestyle, make this huge, my friends call it the 900 for me, because it wasn't a 360. It was like a 900, right? Like I don't even want to be in that same arena. But after following him for almost 2 years, fellas, I can say I'm the happiest I've ever been. The happiest I've ever been. But
even now, looking at your growth, looking at this book that you've put out, Thirst of a Loving Trunk, on Amazon, people need to go grab it. And I was lucky to see the video of you reading the story. And so I got to hear you read it, which was awesome, and it's a really great message about what's possible when you step into your own potential. When you step out of, it's almost that family dynamic of there's customs and things that people do, but sometimes you got to be the one that does it a little different. Right?
That's correct.
And so here you are being that one that's a little different in your, not just in your story, but in your life. Here you are doing that 900. Are you doing a 900? Right? Like I like.
Oh yeah.
It's
I did a 720 on the freeway.
There you go. Time. I love it. The 720, those are acceptable still.
I would have been there. Who knew?
Well, yeah, but the beauty of a 900 is you end up facing another direction, not back the same direction you were at. And so you totally shifted your direction, and now you created, from our conversations, you created an environment at your work where you can do more of this.
That is correct.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit? That might inspire people to ask for things they're not asking for.
So just picture this. I start getting woken up by the voice saying, it's time to get to work. And I'm like, time to get to work, didn't really second guess it. It would just direct me to reading some Bible, or, helping out others, or working on the books, or getting just prepared for the day. It always seems like he was getting me prepared for something. He still does. But I had to go into work and say, you guys, what I'm going through right now, and I can't really explain it, but I cannot keep working late shifts 3 or 4 days a week. The automobile industry, fellas, there's a lot of late shifts. Yeah. And I said to him, this is the deal. I can't keep this up. I have to fulfill this obligation. And remember, I was telling you my weld's kind of on lockdown, because I was out on a porch with a bunch of old guys when I was younger, my younger self. And they said, Trav, you're going to do good in this car business stuff, right? but don't end up on this porch with us at our age, which was the 50s and 60-year-olds. You have them working at the RV industry, I guarantee it. So I just would save my money. I would just invest my money. I made all these necessary deals to where I can be done in my 50s, right? But getting back, I had built up this this wealth to where I wasn't worried about the outcome, right? When I went and talked to my bosses, which are also some of my good friends, you know, we're pretty much a family in the automobile industry. But I said, you guys got to support me on this. I get woken up at 3 o'clock. I fulfill all those obligations before I even get to work. I'm exhausted by 5 o'clock, which means I got to be out of here at 5 o'clock, 5 days a week. And they looked at me like I was a little bit crazy at first. And they're like, we're with you, man. We'll support you. So for these last 2 years, I've been working nothing but early shifts in the automobile industry, which unless
That's
you're
almost,
a general
that's
manager,
almost unheard of, by the way. Like,
unheard of.
Yeah, they won't do
Right?
that.
No. So I'll go over the time. I actually got the Bible right here because this is going to blow your guys' minds. So I told Nick about this when we were chit-chatting on the phone, but 16 months later, I'd followed the Infinite for 16 months, right? On December 2nd, a gentleman that's no longer on the earth calls me up, right? And I could tell you that story another time, but he calls me up and he says, I want to read you a page out of the Bible. And I said, all right, let me grab my Bible, which Rocio at Volkswagen Southtown bought me a Bible, right? And this is where it gets crazy. So, you know, when you open up a Bible, I don't know if you guys read Bible or not. I didn't read Bible 2 years ago. I'd never read a page of the Bible. I read it all the time now, but I thumb it open. You thumb a Bible open. You don't open it up to your ribbon. You thumb it open. It goes to Deuteronomy 7:11, if anyone wants to look this up. And it was my whole journey on one page of the Bible. I cried my eyeballs out because he actually showed himself to me through one page of the Bible. And I'm gonna kill it for you guys today. Okay? If you don't get anything out of this whole deal, right, I'm gonna make some believers today, okay?
Okay, there we go.
So it says, do not forget the Lord. Be careful to follow my every command I'm giving you today, so that you may live and increase and may enter and possess the land the Lord promised on oath to your ancestors. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness for these 40 years. Remember, he let me live however I wanted for the first 40 years, right? To humble and test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. He's been commanding me up 16 months at this point. He humbled you, causing you to hunger, then feeding you with manna, which you'll find out are the books, feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors had known, to teach you that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth, your Lord. Your clothes did not wear out, and your feet, remember what I said about my feet? Hold on. Your feet did not swell during these 40 years. Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so the Lord your God disciplines you. He did this to me, fellas. He did this to me, right? He brought me down and disciplined me. Now, this next part, this is going to knock your socks off. Observe the commands.
What if I don't have socks on?
The commands, every single one of them, 7 days a week. Okay? Observe the commands of the Lord your God, walking in obedience to him and revering him. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with brooks and streams and deep springs gushing out of the valley and the hills, a land where wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey, a land where bread will not be scarce to you and you will lack nothing, a land where rocks are iron and you can dig copper out of the hills. You add up all those little things, and that's the exact amount of books that I've written with the man. Okay? So if you're not believing just yet, stay tuned. We're going to keep rocking here. When you have eaten and you are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. Be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God, failing to observe his commands, his laws, and his decrees that I am giving you this day. This day, not the next day, not next week, not next month, not next year. I'm giving you on this day. I see those pictures. That's why I resonate with you guys' book so much. Otherwise, when you eat and are satisfied, when you build fine houses and settle down, and when your herds and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold increase, and all you have is multiplied. I own my house. I own my cars. I got plenty of money, like I was telling you fellas before. And he's telling me, he's testing me on a small scale. Now he's opening me up to this big picture, helping others and being this giant figure, right? Now, then in your heart, you will be.
There's no better language than a giant and a small. You're living this small life. He tests you, or you get tested in a small degree. And
by
then
the biggest giant, fellas, by the biggest giant.
And then you get to become a giant in your world. So keep going.
Yeah.
All right. This is where I've already put all these puzzle pieces
my socks
together.
are already off. So what else is going to happen?
All right. Now pay attention. Then your heart will become proud and you'll forget the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. What did I tell you? That's the car business. Out of the land of slavery. I don't have a boss. I don't check in with anybody. I don't check out with anybody. Nick knows I was on vacation for 3 weeks, 3 weeks straight in the car business, boys. 3 weeks straight. I just stepped out of the dealership for 3 weeks. Out of the land of slavery. He led you through the vast and dreadful wilderness. Now, the first book that I launched was called The Thirst of a Loving Trunk, right? And it says right here, he led you out of the vast and dreadful wilderness, that thirsty and waterless land. The first page in that book, when you open it up and you have the elephants, and that's in a thirst and waterless land. I can go grab the book right now. With its venomous snakes and scorpions, he brought you water out of the hard rock. I told Nick this. I'm the hard rock. There ain't supposed to be no children's literature coming out of Travis Ching. Right? And the water is these 15 books that I've got. I just got to get them illustrated, right? These 15 books are the water coming out of the hard rock. You with me?
Oh, yeah.
He gave you manna to eat in the wilderness, something your ancestors had never known. No one in my family's a children's literature, anything, right? To humble and test you. You know how people said I was freaking flat out crazy, fellas? You said the negative Nancy's and this and that. Again, it's a Christmas miracle when you look at my handwriting, what I have to work with what you're going to receive in the mailbox, that address. I sent you a copy. Don't you worry.
Awesome.
Right? To humble and test you so that in the end, it might go well with you. You may say to yourself, my power and strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. I didn't produce these books. I was the scribe to the books, following through with the commands. That's why it was hard for me to talk about in the beginning, because I have to talk about God. I have to give this back to him. And people's eyes, when you start talking about the man, they get really nervous, because I really think it was like how I used to be. I'd never had a relationship with him. So when someone started talking about him, it made me really uncomfortable because I believed in him, but I hadn't followed him. Therefore, I was lost in that conversation or very nervous about talking. Right? You with me?
Mm-hmm.
So, but remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth. And so he confirms covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as if it is today. My mom got taken away from me 26 days after this, right? He pretty much was telling me he was going to take care of my ancestors up there, right? He's going to do his work up there, and he's going to take care of my ancestors after I'm gone, right? So he flashes Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss gets flashed through my brain. And how do all of his family members of his generations know him still? I don't know my great-grandfather's name on either side, or my great-great-grandfather's name, right? We need some Ancestry.com for that stuff nowadays. But I want to be, as long as the world's spinning, the Giants and Smalls books are going to be around. The Thirst of a Loving Trunk, the Little Dream Chasers, the Bouncy, the Red Balls, all these different books that are going to get produced. As long as the world's spinning around, these messages are going to be relevant in people's lives.
We talked about this week. I actually mentioned Dr. Seuss earlier this week too, which kind of sent a little chill up my spine. But Nick talked about William Shakespeare a little bit this week, and
wow,
yeah, and you think about a household name, and maybe not quite as famous in his lifetime, but.
Yeah, well, go ahead and finish your thought, and then I'll.
No, that was it. That was the handoff to you, Nick.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I get a little excited, boys. I get a little excited about spreading this message.
Well, the whole Shakespeare thing. Somebody was saying, well, not all of us can be a Shakespeare, but the thing that you're saying right here, and this is important for Giants as you're on the journey, is that when you leave a legacy, your name continues, your creation continues. And over time, you can have that potential to become like Shakespeare. Who was it? The guy who lost his ear, the painter. What was his name?
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh. Van Gogh didn't sell one of his paintings when he was alive.
Wow.
His paintings are worth millions. If I'm understanding that right, there's a video on YouTube that I saw that talked about his history.
It's killer. Yeah, it's awesome.
And it'll make you cry because this guy struggled and pushed and had zero success while he was alive.
Wow.
But man, who wouldn't want one of his paintings now?
I'd want one.
Yeah. So Dr. Seuss, that whole idea, right? That Travis Ching, these books, The Giants and the Smalls, like your purpose may not be a book. It might be something else, but are you leaving a legacy?
That. I truly believe your legacy is lived through others, right? The more you put into others, right? The longer your name's going to be relevant in the world. If you never help anybody, it's almost like Denzel Washington says, you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Yeah, right.
You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. And he said the Egyptians tried that, and look what happened. They got robbed, right? But if you invest into others, which I've been doing my whole career, right? I've created 91 $100,000 plus per year people that when they first met me, they did not have any wealth whatsoever, right? They didn't have the courage of a giant just yet. But through time, you build people and build people and build people, and it creates that necessary pay it forward type attitude. Like, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to help you out on your journey, but it is your responsibility as a human being to provide an environment for someone else to grow just like you grew.
So I just put on down below the Join the Tribe of Giants. I mean, you're a part of it, and you're coming in and you're sharing messages in there, and other giants are coming in and sharing messages in there. And it's got this energy of people helping people. And it's no longer about me going in there and doing all that. Others are coming in and doing it. And it's about leaving that legacy. And it's that giant behavior. Ryan, we show that picture again, Ryan?
Yeah, for sure.
When you become a giant, and even in the creed, when you become a giant, you have a desire to help others. It's not enough for you to just become a giant and you're good. You want to go back and teach others about their potential, just like you're doing. And so you have hit every point of this book.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it resonates with me. Like we were supposed to meet. Right? I don't believe in coincidences anymore. That's the thing of the past. But you can always connect the dots going backwards.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. And I don't go to church. I'm not religious. I don't read the Bible. I rarely pray, but your message, I see a lot of synchronicity in the world. I see numbers and symbols and things that show me I'm on the right path. I don't get voices in my head, but I do get downloads. That download thing is huge. When you align with your purpose, it's amazing. It flows. I've written entire books in one sitting, same day. It's just when it floods, and you got to be ready to scribe and capture it.
Yep.
It just downloads. And that's something I heard from Richard Paul Evans on his book. He said, when you align with your purpose, your download begins. His books download. It's so crazy because we think, oh yeah, we're creating all this. Well, it's already out there ready to go. You just got to be in a position that your system, your machine is ready to take the download.
Well, yeah, it's just how you take that download and what you're willing to do with it, right? Yeah. Just watch Shark Tank. You'll say to yourself all the time, I had that same idea, but I didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Well, he gives all these people these ideas, and then 93% of us don't do anything with it.
Right.
You know, what's interesting about that point is I had a friend who who married into the James Sorensen family, billionaire in Utah, and my dad my dad was asking my buddy's dad who's was at the wedding, and he was talking to James Sorensen or Jim, I don't know what he goes by, but I think he's passed away since then. But he said, tell me some of your secret to success. Like if you had a chance to stand next to a billionaire and ask him what he did to get there, tell me a piece of advice. And he said, look, everywhere I go, I take note cards, and I have an idea and I write it down. And that's where most people would stop. He said they'd write it down. That's it. Or maybe not even take the note. Just, had the idea. Boom. He said, I'd put it in the note card. And then I'd take that note card, and on the back, I'd start writing everything that I could think about to make that thing come into reality, constantly thinking about it, pulling it out, checking my note cards. And then I would go make it happen. And he said that those things made him a billionaire with a B.
I don't mind billionaire. Nick said someone's selling 80,000 books, Right. Sorry, the dog's going to start barking here in a minute.
Oh, you're good. Ryan,
the garage door's going up. The garage door's going up.
Pull up the picture of the garden. In the book, of all the things that the giant could be doing to grow, we put him in a garden. And the reason I put him in a garden is because it's symbolic for life. You got to earn what you want out of life. And so he gets to enjoy the abundance, but the giant shows him, look, you want to see where that abundance came from? It came from the garden.
Yeah, go act on it. Go work for it. Go put it into action, right?
Yeah, give it the nutrients it needs. Weed it, grow it, spend time with it. It takes time to grow a garden. It's not instant success. It takes time. And so
delayed gratification.
Yeah, it's delayed gratification. It's work. And I look at this is an 11-year project since the time I wrote this to where it is today, and we're still not done growing, is 11 years. Are you willing to stick with your dream for that long? Some guys I know it's 20, 30 years before they have a breakthrough. Sometimes longer.
Yeah. So
be willing to work your garden. Your garden is whatever creation you want to create, whatever that looks like. That's your garden. Are you willing, instead of just writing the note down and say, I threw some seeds out there, they're not doing anything, but I threw them out there. We'll go out
water them,
check on them. Yeah.
Go water them is the easy part. Watering them and weeding them and doing all that other stuff. That's the one step closer.
Yeah.
That's the one step closer.
How many times did you guys change that book up? Because I guarantee you changed it up 1,000 times.
Yeah.
It was going one direction. You changed it up to a different direction.
In fact, I had beta readers go through it. I had editors go through it. The imagery, just deciding on the characters and the world. I had people coming in with ideas. Oh, they should be mushroom people so that we don't offend anybody.
This right here came through like right at the end. Like just to have that came through almost at the very end, right before printing.
Even the layout of the book, the very back of the book, the end pages, using those came from people in our network that were willing to share ideas. And it's one thing if they share an idea and you shut it off, you just shut yourself off to a suggestion. I was trying to take every suggestion and really look at it and see if it would be a fit and then adopt it or get rid of it, but not just shut it off because it wasn't my idea.
Exactly.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, you got to have that faith, that these people are on this journey with you, and they're not here to steal anything from us.
Yeah,
they're put in there for a reason. Like I have an illustrator that she takes PayPal. That I'm working on this bouncy ball series, and my buddies are like, PayPal, no way, man! Do not sign up with anybody over in India to do these illustrations. I'm like, no, man, I got this crazy feeling that it's going to work out. No big deal. I'll just, send her half for the illustration and half when the illustration's done. And I built this beautiful relationship with this gal in India. Purvi's her name. And
Right.
I'm just like, why not always expect to find good people until proven otherwise?
We're starting to run up. It's crazy how fast the time goes in this thing.
Oh, dang.
We're running up in 50 minutes. Travis, there's so many people out there that are going to resonate with your message, that they see your path, and it might look different than theirs, but there's trueness to it, and it rings in their heart, and they can see it, and they get excited about it. What's something? So if you could tell them anything, you go back and talk to. This is a double question. You go back and tell young Travis anything, and any type of advice, what you would tell young Travis, but also what you would tell all our listeners, our followers, the people that are going to be watching this. What advice would you give them? What advice would you give your young self too?
Yeah, I would just say it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? If you always focus on what you're bad at, you're always going to be bad, right? People focus on what they're bad at versus what they're good at. I'm good with people, right? That's my gift, is taking the concern out of people. So I don't think I'd really change much to my younger self, other than telling him that we're on the right track, right? I don't care about what anyone says to you. I never have, never. When you're a dreamer, that stuff just bounces off of you left and right. But for the viewers, I would say, it's your choice. It's always your choice whether you look at something positive or negative, right? It's always a choice. It's always a choice to click on something negative on Facebook, that if you keep clicking on negative things, isn't that funny? But only negative things come up in your feed. Like, I proved this to my boss. I said, I don't click on negative stuff. No riots, no craziness, no negativity. And my feed's nothing but positive feed, because that's what my brain's looking for, right?
Well, that's the way it's designed, is to feed you more of what you already are doing.
Yes.
It's a parallel of life too, though.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You can, with the universe, you ask, you'll get. And that's what you just proved. You wanted something different. You wanted something more. You asked for it, and guess what? You got it.
It showed up.
Yeah.
It showed up. But if you could just live by how I just promote it to my family and friends nowadays, is this whole just your pillars of life. If everything can just stay nice and even, your family and friends pillar, right? Your health, your wealth, and your relationship with the infinite. If you don't let one get out of sync with the other, you're never going to have a restoration project. You're not going to have these major fallouts of life, right? And when it really boils down to it, it's your choice to stay at that job. It's your choice not to go with that vision that comes into your mind, right? It might sound like a lot of work until you get halfway through it, and then you might find the enjoyment, like that runner's high they talk about that I've never got, right? But it's like you have to go on these journeys. You have to go on these journeys to make up your own assessment of what's important for the human, right? What do you want to take from this human life? You want to, again, play to all your faults? Or do you want to play to all of your strengths and build on your faults?
One thing I've noticed,
I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question or not. It's pretty cool. It's pretty dang cool.
One thing we noticed is when there's a message that needs to come across, we have technology issues. And right now, your volume is like going up and down, but the message still came through, right?
Yeah, it did.
And so, when there's something to be said, it needs to be said, and we're going to say it, and we're going to get it out to the world regardless of how it comes through. And that's one thing we've learned, is that we can count on our technology failing us, right?
So can you not hear me right now?
Oh, I can hear you.
We can now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost uncanny every single week where there's a big message.
Yep.
And somebody's about to say, okay, I'm going to give you the nugget right here. And all of a sudden it's like,
well, I can go through it again. I don't mind.
No, you're good.
Here's what I want. It's just muffled. It was fine. It was good.
I just want to point out to the viewers is that keep going anyway. When life fails or technology fails or it doesn't go the way you want. I mean, there's no way, Travis, you could have predicted that you would be where you are today. There's no way that we could have predicted how the Giants and Smalls would grow. We couldn't predict it. We were just out there putting out every kind of energy that we could. And in that, the path showed up. And so that's what I would tell people, is that you don't always need to know. You just need to go out and put in the effort, and then the path will clarify as you go. And so I think that's something, that you've proven is, for the first 40 years, you were just Travis Ching, just living a regular small life, just like every other small. Had a small job, small house, made good money for a small, right? But then God comes along and he says, dude, he didn't even come along and wake you up. You reached out. Just like Rick did in the story, is you reached out and you decided there's got to be more for me. And you went out on the path. There's nobody coming to rescue you. And that's something from Nathaniel Brandon. I'll remember it. But he says, no one's coming to rescue you. And so that's up to us. I've enjoyed this, man. I don't talk about religion or spirit much, but hearing that scripture you shared, Deuteronomy 7:11, how you tie it into your life, what you're creating. I mean, how can a person look at that and not see that there's something else at play?
That is correct.
Right.
Yeah. And you could call it any kinds of things, higher power, source,
you can call them Joe.
Yeah. you should put that on there. You can call him Joe.
As long as you believe, you believe.
That's right. Yep. Reach out to Joe. He'll help you out. Joe,
just kidding, man. Just kidding.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap up here. Just incredible show. Appreciate your message. Appreciate your story. We'll get this out and share it with the world, and hopefully it helps your cause. Go get the book, The Thirst of a Loving Trunk, on Amazon. Really great book. You'll see that below. Make sure that you subscribe up here in the corner.
Yeah.
And then we got other videos over there in that corner that you can click on and get some more insights.
Yeah.
Join us on the Tribe of Giants. Make sure that you do that, and that you go buy the book. The Giants and the Smalls is available on Amazon and giantsandsmalls.com.
Yeah. And then that's also The Thirst of a Loving Trunk.
Thank you, fellas.
Yeah.
Just one of many on the rise. Got to follow through with every single one of them.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for being a part of this journey, and thanks for being on the show.
Whatever I can do to help out, fellas, I will.
Awesome. Okay, guys.
See you later.
We'll see you in the next video.
For sure. Let's do another one.